Hello and welcome to Start Select. I'm Mark Walton, the thinking man's Johnny Chiodini, and this is Jane.
Hi.
I'm back in the Start Select studio after a perfect storm of bank holidays and royal nuptials and 3 days official leave, amounting to an amazing 11-day holiday for me. I know how much you've missed me, so we've got a super good show to make it up to you, and also some prizes.
Right. For starters, if you're looking forward to Brink as much as we are, you'll want to pay close attention to developer Splash Damage's Richard Ham in our first feature, 3 essential tips for living long and prospering in this funky, fresh first-person shooter.
And then if you've been living under a rock, under a bigger rock, and also on the moon for the last couple of weeks, you might be wondering why you can't get online with your PS3. We've got some bad news for you. No, actually we've got a roundup of the PlayStation Network outage fandango. It's everything you need to know in a nutshell and what you should do next.
Then there's your feedback, you know how we love that, and upcoming releases such as there are. And finally, the first ever Start Select prize pile is complete. If you've been following the last 3 shows, you'll know we've been collecting some sweet game goodies for a prize bundle, and now it's time to give it away, so don't touch that dial.
If you've had your fill of the gritty grey and brown battlefields of modern military shooters till at least this winter, you might want to check out Brink.
It's a parkour-inspired, class-based first-person shooter set in a dystopian sci-fi future. Is there any other kind?
And we popped down to the Bromley studio of developer Splash Damage to pick up this primer from creative director Richard Ham. If you want to survive in Brink, here's what you need to know.
Hi, I'm Richard Ham, Splash Damage's creative director, and I hear you want to know how to survive in Brink. Well, there's 3 main things.
The objective wheel.
Number 1, use your objective wheel. Whenever you take an objective off of that wheel, not only are you going to get more experience points for doing the objective, but you'll tell everybody on your team exactly what's happening, and they'll get new objectives to help you out.
Fire in the hole in 3, 2, 1!
Number 2, always keep an eye on your radar. Whenever one of your teammates sees an enemy, he's going to shout, "Enemy spotted."
Enemy spotted!
And if you look at the radar, you will know exactly where that enemy is, anywhere on the map. Number 3, move more than you shoot. If you are standing still, you are a dead man, or a dead woman. So always keep in motion if you want to stay alive.
At the time of shooting this show, the global PlayStation Network outage, PSN Mageddon, PS Apocalypse, whatever you probably don't choose to call it, is still in full effect.
The latest word from Sony is that the network will be back up and running in some form later this week. So if you're lucky, you may be back online by the time this show goes out.
Even so, with the dust beginning to settle a little bit, it seems like a good time to take stock of the PS end of days. What happened, what happens next, and what should you do? Let's see.
Okay, cast your mind all the way back to April 17th to 19th. Little did we know it then, and little did Sony know it then also, but someone was hacking their way into the PlayStation Network, the online service for Sony's PS3 and PSP consoles. The passwords of 77 million PSN users were compromised in that they were accessed and potentially nicked, as well as email addresses, home addresses, and secret security question answers. None of the data was encrypted, except for the user's credit card numbers. So Sony pulled the plug in reaction to the breach, and the PSN was all... and we were all... but Sony was all... It wasn't until some days later, on April 26th, that we had official word on what was happening when Patrick Siebold, PlayStation's Senior Director of Corporate Communications, told us on the PlayStation blog,
"An external intrusion on our system has affected our PlayStation Network and Curiosity services. In order to conduct a thorough investigation and verify the smooth and secure operation of our network services going forward, we turned off PlayStation Network and Curiosity services on the evening of Wednesday, April 20th.
This came on April 26th after some days of uncertainty and a lack of communication for which Sony has drawn plenty of criticism. On April 21st, Siebold said,
"It may be a full day or 2 before we can get the full service back up and running."
Though on April 22nd, Sony did warn of an external intrusion on our system, and on April 23rd, they called the task of getting the PSN secure and back online time-consuming. Along with the PlayStation blog posting on April 26, Sony began emailing PSN users all over the world, telling them to look out for identity theft made possible by the personal data from PSN accounts falling into the wrong hands. On April 29th, the US Department of Homeland Security joined the FBI in helping Sony track down the perpetrators of the hack. Then on May the 1st, we heard from Sony Computer Entertainment head Kazurai from a press conference.
This was a highly sophisticated attack by a highly skilled intruder who invaded the system and took steps to cover his tracks,
he said. As a make good to the 77 million odd PSN users around the world, Sony also outlined a welcome back program, a free month of the PlayStation Plus service and so far non-specific free entertainment content downloads. It's a modest compensation package, you might say. At the time of recording, the most recent action on PSN outage front is bad news rather than good. Sony Online Entertainment, which runs Sony's massively multiplayer online games such as EverQuest 1 and 2, DC Universe Online, Free Realms and Star Wars Galaxies, has also come a cropper, taking its game servers and websites offline. SOE confirmed that information on 10,700 European bank records may be stolen, along with credit card details of nearly 13,000 and personal information for 25 million customers. Seemingly, Sony Online Entertainment system was breached back on April 16th or 17th, as well as the PSN. On May the 3rd, Sony said to expect the PSN to be back online in some form later in the week, which is something if you've been desperate to crack on with Portal 2 Co-op or Mortal Kombat Online. But what else should you be doing? Chris Gatford, director of security consulting firm Hack Labs, told GameSpot,
I wouldn't lose sleep and I wouldn't rush out and cancel credit cards. I'd be more disappointed with Sony. Most consumers will be protected by their banks against fraudulent transactions. What's harder to quantify is the loss of personal information. Say you used your mother's maiden name as a security question or used another question you use for other websites. This information can be used by attackers to access other services you use.
Meanwhile, Nick Elsmore, head of delivery at information security outfit StratSec, says,
be alert of anything untoward happening on your accounts, and if the password on the PSN is the same as you use elsewhere, then just go ahead and change it. Should you cancel your credit card? Personally, if something happened to me, I would call the bank, get the fraud reversed, and then cancel the card from there.
So watch out for identity theft, that is, people using your personal information to pose as you to apply for accounts elsewhere, or accessing any other accounts that shared passwords or security questions with your PSN account. But don't panic over your credit card details. And though at the time of recording the PlayStation Network is still down, when you get back on it you'll have to change your password. Password. Yeah, that'll do. Beyond that, once Sony's patched its hacker hole and locked down its system once more, it'll be a case of picking up the pieces of its reputation. With widespread coverage of the breach and outage in the mainstream media, this is exactly the kind of publicity a platform owner doesn't need. To find out how Sony's getting on with that, how it's going to make amends to its users, and how its army of vengeful ninja assassins are doing tracking down the hackers that started it all, keep it GameSpot for the news.
If you're more Xbox Live than PSN though, this week's batch of new releases has a treat for you. A little game called Call of Duty Black Ops has a second DLC pack newly available. It's out for Xbox 360 now, with the PC and PS3 version coming at a later date, and it contains 4 new multiplayer maps named Zoo, Hotel, Convoy, Stockpile, and 1 new zombie map named Call of the Dead. The latter is based on the Romero zombie movies. The trailer for this map, which is set on a ship, introduces the 4 playable characters: Danny Machete Trejo, Sarah Buffy Michelle Gellar, Robert Freddy Krueger Englund, and Michael, someone from The Walking Dead, Rooker.
This week's a little short on big name releases otherwise, but if you like shooting bears in the face, and who doesn't, that was all we did in Red Dead Redemption, there's Cabela's Dangerous Hunts 2011 for PS3 and Wii.
And also Plants vs Zombies for the DS. If you've managed to somehow not play it on any other platform so far, you crazy person, you'd better check it out now. The DS version has 1 card local 2-player download play, so pretty sweet.
And if you're into stereoscopic submarines, you might want to check out Steel Diver for the Nintendo 3DS. Only if you're really into stereoscopic subs though, because we got a 4.5 in our review, sorry.
Very sorry. Moving on to your feedback, which is really all that keeps us going from week to week, we've heard the following from you.
Real Harry, for starters, says, I don't know if this was intentional, but you can interchange the Mark Walton sprite with Johnny Chiodini, since they both have fringy black hair and wear glasses. So yeah, the intro has 4 people represented with 3 sprites. Good work.
While Kuthrians thinks we're not working hard enough and says, hour-long shows with the Walton and the Cocker lols added in, yes please.
Another 110 has faith that Justice and or Sony's Ninja Assassins will catch up with those responsible for the initial PlayStation breach. He says PSN hackers will be caught.
Dragon Ball Kid, on the other hand, takes intern Igor to task for some pronunciation things, which runs, oh Igor, I was liking your preview on Outland until you pronounced it Kamehameha, but it's actually Kamehameha. Being a lifelong Dragon Ball Z fan, I must acknowledge that although it is Kamehameha, the Maya just rolled off the tongue so much easier.
Right, so now we know that.
Yeah, we do.
If you want to get in touch, don't forget Facebook, Twitter and the Start Select homepage, available at facebook.com/GameSpotUK, twitter.com/GameSpotUK and gamespot.com/StartSelect respectively.
It's time for us to add the final goodies to the Start Select prize pile and for you to win the lot. Maybe.
So, in the 3 shows since the relaunch, we have accumulated Michael Jackson, The Experience for PS3 or 360 as you prefer. Lovely. And then Insert Coin Clothing gave us a £50 voucher for game-inspired tees and hoodies, which are super sweet. And then we've got Deus Ex Icarus Effect, the tie-in novel for the Deus Ex Human Revolution upcoming game. Very nice. And then this week we are throwing in a limited edition Warp figurine.
How cute.
Super cute.
Very, very, very cute.
Of Zero, and that's for the game we had in a couple of shows back, the downloadable top-down stealth actioner. Yes?
Yes,
And he's
I
number
agree.
39 of 1,000. So
There you go. You can be only one of
limited.
1,000 people that owns one of these cute little guys. So.
And then from Firebox we have a Super Mario Brothers Mini Classics keyring, as modeled by Mark. And then a GameSpot Magic 8 Ball, like all the cool kids have, and a Mortal Kombat t-shirt.
Which, you know, if you really want to impress the ladies,
Hey ladies.
you go on a night out clubbing, just
Right.
pop this on
With this thing.
with that. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Just be like, hey ladies, check out my ribs.
works.
Oh yeah.
And also, best of all, a Call of Duty Black Ops Escalation downloadable code, which comes on a super fancy Call of the Dead type screenplay.
Like a script?
Screenplay. Yeah, like a bloodied script.
It is good.
Okay. To win, you have to fire up MS Paint or whatever super basic paint program you prefer and doodle us some beautiful box art for the game of your choice. Get creative.
We'll be judging on lulz rather than artistic finesse, so fret not if you are free of drawing talent. Send your efforts to competitions@gamespot.co.uk and we'll draw a winner in a couple of weeks' time.
Don't forget, you can also win one of 50 pairs of tickets, 3-day tickets that is, for the London MCM Expo coming up on May 27th. We'll be there, and also video games, and we know how you like video games. That's tinyurl.com/OMGMCM for those.
And finally, Johnny will be hosting a Q&A session with Duke Nukem Forever's producer Randy Pitchford at BAFTA's London headquarters on May 11th. You can pick up a ticket via tinyurl.com/14longyears.
And that is your lot. Hit us up on Twitter or Facebook, or we will cry. Thanks for joining us, GameSpotters, and we will see you next time.